Hello, everyone. Welcome to FESIG. This is the 3rd of December, 3rd of January 2018, our 48th FESIG meeting. This is the first meeting of this new year, and we are bringing exciting things because we have two very special speakers. One is bringing abundance, and the other one is bringing disclosure. So here we are. We're going to start the PowerPoint presentation right away. I'm going to share screen. So here we are. This is FESIG. Welcome to the Free Energy Special Interest Group. As I've said before, this is our 48th meeting and the 3rd of January, and we start promptly, usually on the first Wednesday of the month, every month. Just one meeting. This is our new format with two speakers. The first speaker will speak for about 45 minutes to an hour with question and answers. The second speaker will speak for the next hour, so we can have two video recordings. So therefore, we have two YouTube recordings of our meetings in a month, right? So some of you may be wondering what Free Energy Special Interest Group is about. Go to our website, because every meeting I've been doing this, I've been introducing what we are. This is a platform where scientists, researchers, developers of alternative energy, free energy, come together to research, to explore, to share ideas, to develop further their devices and inventions to go further. I can hear a lot of noise in the background. Could you please mute yourself? Thank you very much. Mute yourself.
Well, you must have put that.
This is a meeting. Sorry, could you please mute yourself?
That Vizio thing away somewhere.
Somebody's speaking in the background. Could you please mute yourself? And there's a recording right now. So the Free Energy Special Interest Group offers a platform for all of you to come together so that we can, we are open to all teachings, welcoming creativity that pushes science and spirituality to the furthest frontiers in the pursuit of knowledge, seeking breakthroughs to succeed in our objectives of making this world a better place to live in. So, I'm sorry, it's the 48th meeting, actually. Yeah. So the 48th meeting agenda is this. Very quickly, I'm going through quick presentation of FESIG to new members. Actually, in those days, we had long meetings, so I would allow new members to introduce themselves. But this meeting is very special, and we want to cram in as much as possible with abundance and disclosure. So the chair, I am Crystal Gore. I'm the founder and initiator of FESIG. And I have with me my co-chair, Dr. Elizabeth Donovan, and James Rink will be co-chairing the second session. Right, the first speaker is Martin J. Berger, CEO, founder of the Blue Eagle Incorporated, speaking about his precious metal-backed Blue Eagle cryptocurrency and his scientific community and the amazing technologies in his blue energy company. And then we have the second speaker, who is no other than Ileana, the star traveler, ET contactee who visits various worlds, learning about ET races and helping humanity on their evolutionary path in life. The co-chair here is James Rink, and she's bringing a lot of disclosure anyway. If you've seen her work, it's pretty amazing. And as I said, you know, Martin brings abundance, Ileana brings disclosure for this very special meeting. And then after that, we would adjourn to the next meeting, which is our 49th FESIG meeting on the 7th of February. So do join us again, folks, where we have Andrew Murray, scientist inventor, speaking, and disclosure super soldier Anthony Zender will be speaking as well. So that's it for the agenda. If you want to keep in touch with me or want to email me regarding some important things, this is my email address, crystal@truevisionofpeace.com. And our website is truevisionofpeace.com/FESIG.html, which is sitting on the True Vision of Peace website. Right, so I'm stopped sharing now. I have got to stop sharing now because I want to introduce Martin. Now, Martin is our philanthropist who is bringing abundance through to FESIG members so that we can do our divine mission. And it's amazing what Martin does. I would like to introduce him.
Hello, Crystal. I've come to warmly appreciate your group's effort and the great depth of talent that you've been able to bring to your space, and fascinating interviews. Recently, you had my friend from Vancouver Island, Kevin Hay, on, and you know Kevin is a fantastic individual, and I've met many such people over the years. Gene Manning was the one that started me, you know, as a public figure in the new energy space, and that was, you know, probably 25, almost 30 years ago now. And it became apparent early in my activities as a graduate engineer, curious about solutions and why we were still burning coal and basically, you know, 50 feet from our Cro-Magnon cave, and why we hadn't progressed any further was troubling to me. But I quickly came to see that the vested interest gridlocks, as my friend Dr. Tom Balone from the Infinity Institute says when he disclosed the whistleblowing of some 4,000 plus energy-related patents for so-called purposes of national security, when it's plainly evident that our patent office has been basically a gatekeeper blocking technologies at the behest of the vested interest. But let me back up to your introduction. I did provide some information on blue energy, or blue the Blue Eagle precious metals and blue energy. The precious metals is my first white paper effort into this exciting ICO space, and it's not part of this particular program. What we're doing here is a new ICO white paper that involves bringing together stranded technologies, valuable, beneficial, scalable, game-changing technologies that I've been aware of and working with various inventors over the years. And this will be, with the ICO and the whole emergence of the blockchain crypto space, finally be where we deal with this burdensome legacy of vested interest gridlock. They cannot stop us now. They've been successful in stopping each of us, right, going back all the way even before John Keely's work in 1896. 4 Navy officers witnessed him on an anti-gravitics platform going in excess of 400 miles an hour. You know, that was over 120 years ago. And why haven't we brought those beneficial technologies into our daily lives and stop our polluting activities with our power generation? Energy should be like air. You breathe it, it's your right. Okay, you shouldn't have to be paying a third of your income or more to fuel your car or to power your lights and computers or heat your home. That will eventually, and in our lifetime, be a thing of the past. So it's a great day when I saw the emergence of the whole crypto, blockchain, Bitcoin phenomena, and it is a phenomena. I went back to what Hazel Henderson said to me in 1997, where she said, the world is transforming itself in its evolution to now what we would call the information economy. And I didn't understand what she was saying initially, but later I came to appreciate when blockchain hit the $10,000 mark that the blockchain cryptocurrency was the natural evolution. And it's populated by the brightest people, some of the most resourceful people, creative people, passionate people. And, you know, there's people worried that the whole Bitcoin blockchain crypto space is going to be shut down or taken over by the New World Order, or, you know, many disastrous scenarios are out there, and you can hear them all today. The wild valuation fluctuations is a bit unnerving for anybody when you look at your account one day and the coin's trading at 20,000, and you look at the next day and it's trading at 12,000. That's a huge emotional gyration, but it's the nature of the space. And we've had probably 10,000 coins and tokens issued to date, and it's a confusing, chaotic space. Yes, it is. On my second major white paper now, I'm seeing things that weren't taken into account in the early instances. It's just a matter of get your coin out, and which architecture you used, or which blockchain, all of those sort of things were the only questions. Now with these wild gyrations, some coins, losing all of their value, going to nothing, people are starting to become a lot more discerning about where they participate in the crypto space. And what we will have here is something totally unique, and it will be more card relationship focused than coin focused. But it permits us to issue a very valuable coin. And as a visionary, I started into this space, and a lot of a visionary's work has to do with just being more intimate in connecting with the vision and seeing more of what is in the tentacles and the laterals, all of these sort of things. And in doing that, I got to a place where I appreciated that, there's probably 500,000 serious scientists, engineers, people that have devoted lifetimes supporting inventions, supporting inventors, supporting progress, supporting solutions, and they all have an equity in this. And I had the crazy thought, well, if they have equity, no different than the equity that I hold in my 30 years of service and my patents and all of the rest of that, they have equity too, and they should be acknowledged. And they are valuable to have as members inclusively in this consciousness domain that will form around this community. So when I started thinking about an airdrop, I thought, well, who would you airdrop? And so that's where I came across your website, found the wonderful work that you've been doing here. This is the essence of what I mean to target in the airdrop. And when I say airdrop, that means when we do our ICO, we will issue coins to a select list of people. And we will be very careful in selecting that list of people, but we will not deny anybody that's had 10 years or a lifetime of service into these sorts of solutions. They hold equity just as much as I do in this thing. So we're going to start with, gifting $250 million worth of energy innovation coin. And I get to play Santa Claus. I get to, give all this stuff out. And it's really a goodwill. It's a goodwill gesture. It's an invitation to join a very special community, a community of like-minded people, just like all of us here. And in forming that community, there will be a coherence that these gatekeepers and these vested interest, oligarchical interests have used against us strategically and tactically. They could stop a Nikola Tesla. The papers from the Hotel Astoria are still in the National Archives, blocked for purposes of national security. And at the same time, these same government officials will say adamantly that Tesla was a kook. He has no value, and all of these free energy devices he was talking about do not exist, and they're not practical. Well, I'm sorry, but I know people that have spent many, many years, and my close associate and colleague, Dr. Malusky, having redesigned the Tom Bearden emotionless electric generator we called the MEG, there was problems with that device, and while the concept was reasonably sound, it wasn't fully appreciated by the Bearden team. And so we've picked it up and taken it to the next level fixing the defects and flaws in the design, and the preliminary tests are very exciting. You know, we're talking about a year or so away from where we'll be able to provide, you know, 5, 10, 20 kilowatts with a handheld device, free energy. And these devices, from what I can see so far, don't look like they're going to be very expensive to build, you know. So with that, we'll launch our energy innovation coin. We will raise $250 million. The coin will also be backed with a $45 million US note, treasury note, and then the equity of all of these innovations. We're starting with presenting 4 technologies initially, and 3 of them are energy related, but one of them is a very exciting solution in the nuclear waste scenario. We've all seen the Chernobyl, the disastrous consequences of the problem at Chernobyl. The public documents suggest 30, 50,000 lives were lost. But the reality is it's upwards of over 800,000 or 1 million. And it was a terrible experience. And then even worse than that, we've now had the Fukushima experience, and the contaminants still flow just like Niagara Falls into the Pacific Ocean. We're seeing massive species change, population changes, the health and the viability, whales with huge cancerous lesions on them. So the Pacific is in really desperate shape, and that's really going to bear on our future as well in the not too distant future. So when I say solutions, I started out energy focused, but I just had to include nuclear waste remediation technologies that have been equally blocked and obstructed and stranded and are game-changing, beneficial to all humanity. So we'll expand it from strictly energy to dealing with major problems confronting us as a species.
Right. Martin, I actually hadn't had a chance to introduce you properly. I would like to do so now.
Do so.
Now that you're pausing. Martin J. Berger is the CEO, the founder of Blue Eagle Incorporated, folks. And he's a visionary, as you can see. I mean, he's just started talking about how he's going to help us go forward with our divine mission here on Earth. It's so amazing. He's comfortable with the unknown. Well, he's very a spiritual person. He goes into researching the unknown there. Unwavering commitment to excellence. And he's the elected fellow with the World Innovation Foundation, a Gerson-Lehman Group consultant. Martin is also the founding CEO of Octan Resources Incorporated, a public junior mining company involved in a silver play at Great Bear Lake. He's the founding CEO of Blue Energy Canada, that played key roles in the success of 2 other technology-driven companies in the development of several world-scale construction projects in the petrochemical, energy, and mining sectors. And you are in the process of building a huge, big project in China, right? Is that a bridge or something, Martin? Martin?
Let me get my mic turned back on here. There's a proposal for a very large tidal bridge, a multifunctional power generation, transportation link from Dalian to Bohai. But it'll probably be realistically out there 5, 10 years before we get to that. But the tidal resources, you have to understand, it's basically wind technology in a hydro setting. And the fluid density is the reason that we would attempt such a thing, because wind densities, air is very light, fluid medium, but seawater is 830 times the density of air. So only 8 knots of moving seawater has a wind force equivalent of approximately 400 kilometers per hour wind speed. So if you had 400-kilometer wind speed, those wind turbines would be very valuable in producing massive amounts of energy. So it's the higher energy densities, and then the rigorous design, the simplicity of the design, yet the sophistication of the engineering that's gone into this over many, many years by many very qualified people. Some have passed on. We've been at it so long. But this solution is there. Nobody that I know of, you know, when you leave high school and you have to make career decisions, if you go to college or engineering or philosophy or whatever you take, nobody ever puts it out there that becoming a visionary is one of those options. These things sort of, life takes over your life, or your circumstance will take over your life, and you find yourself in, you know, the vision domain. And the vision domain includes the dimensional domain, the spirit, the etheric, the intellectual, all of those things. You have to still do good science. And while engineers, we've all worshipped at, you know, the empiricism altar, there's much more going on around us and the nature of reality. And to be a founded functioning visionary, you have to have a grounding in all of those aspects to produce the results. And I had a wonderful experience in a 12-year mentorship from a gentleman by the name of John Leslie Bodie, not known so widely around the world, but in quiet circles, he was the founding CEO of a great company called Genstar Corporation. And that 12 years mentorship, the narrative was about the process of visionation. I think in the end, he had 110 senior vice presidents on a takeover rampage around the world, buying companies, taking them over. And they all said of John Leslie Bodie is prolific vision capability, that he literally walked across the prairies and the sidewalks and the fire hydrants and the skyscrapers just came up, you know, magically behind him. And I knew him to be a master visionary. And so I benefited from that. It turned out at the time, he shared with me at one point the fact that he was a walk-in. And I didn't know what a walk-in was in those days. I was, you know, a construction manager, rough cut, and, you know, let's go build something. And when he said a walk-in, the term didn't register. Now you can go on Wikipedia and they explain, you know, all kinds of interpretations what happens in a walk-in. But in John's case, he had come down with cancer, fought it for many years, and felt he had fulfilled all that he could in his life, but made his body available to another soul, and they swapped. And so when you and I landed here and chose to come to this planet and experience our lives with our selected families, we come through what I've come to call stupid veil. It's the forgetting of who you really are, your dimensionality, where you came from, what I've come to call your existence agenda. You came here with clear purpose, and then you forgot it all. And then we spend, you know, 50, 60 years trying to remember what that was or put it all back together. Well, a walk-in has all of that information. And so that accounted for this man's extraordinary faculties and his ability and his vision and his wisdom and his guidance. And if I can pay homage to him, it will be that I will make this a success. And I feel very confident with it. The visionation principles are quite simple, but very powerful. When I made the choice, not the decision, engineers make decisions. The visionaries make choices. The difference between a choice and a decision is you've got George Bush, the decider. Okay, well, that's a very low intellect, really, and a not even a functioning relationship with reality. Whereas a choice has a cosmology with it. That means, in the quantum sense, that we're all coupled. all the molecules in the universe acknowledge your choice from your divine aspect. And so the vision part of this is unique. The coin will take the crypto ICO blockchain technology to a whole new level that will be much greater in depth, longevity, and valuation. Okay, this will be a very valuable coin.
Yes.
And from that initial $200 million, we will start with the Blue Energy tidal bridge and likely choose the Orkney Islands in Scotland because we've got some wonderful warm history there. And you know, you're in the UK and you've seen the last 20 years of the emergence of all kinds of sustainable technologies, tidal, wave power, all of these things. But it's burdened with the process of approvals to even play and participate. We circumvented all of that by selecting the Orkneys. Now, here's a little known fact about the Orkneys. There's something called Udal law. Udal law goes back to the days of the Norse, when the Norse came there and settled in the Orkneys, and their law prevails over, you know, the common statutes in the greater UK. And that means the ocean bed and the ocean resource is owned by the Orkney Council. And those are all good Scotch drinking friends of mine. So this is a way we can move a technology around the normal barriers that have historically prevented these technologies. And from there, we'll go to a much larger scale very quickly. These are modularized designs and lend themselves to massive size project with great performance economies of scale.
Right. That is so good. I mean, the work that you're doing, it's so so much in variety, and you have a whole team of scientists as well, Martin, because you and your colleagues have evaluated some 500 plus innovation technology developments in the past, and with your previous commitments to Blue Energy Canada. Would you like to expand on how you get to see all this
well,
plus innovation technology?
We can all start our day with intentions, and then we have to deal with what happens to us throughout the day. And my life has been similar. I started out as a civil engineer, and through fortuitous job circumstances found myself way in over my head and built a $1 billion petrochemical plant and did it better than anybody's ever done it. You know, so you start the day out, and then you find yourself in circumstances and situations, you react and opportunity, you know, take advantage of those opportunities. So that's been my case. You're actually talking to a full-blown modern-day alchemist. I was fired by the company that I founded, and I'm still the major shareholder in this company, but they fired me because they didn't understand the visionary. These were all MBA type people, good people, smart, intelligent people, but when I kept telling them about our vision priorities over their little MBA corporate structure priorities, they didn't appreciate that, and so they eventually fired me. Well, at that time, I had a longtime friend, a researcher and inventor, Norm Reed. I don't know if you've run across Norm in the past, but Norm had been nattering in my ears for years about alchemy. And, you know, I didn't know much about alchemy. I'd read it. It was all, you know, oblique, mystic, convoluted, didn't make any sense. But then I ran across my partner now, colleague, Dr. John Maluski. This man has a serious standing, you know, right from when he was a teenager, winning science prizes at the national level. Then he went on to Lawrence Livermore Labs and Sandia Labs, you know, big labs like that, inventing things, designing things at a, you know, very high material level. And John Maluski had learned this microwave technique or developed it. And John has a superlight theory and interferometry we captured in a molten crystalline structure in a crucible. And it's in that interferometry phase step-down trap we see precious metals forming. I have a bead here right on my desk, 1,500 microns, 90% gold, 10% silver, that I made from a beer bottle. And in a microwave oven, of all the silly things you can imagine. And so alchemy is now achieved a level where serious researchers can appreciate what Isaac Newton and the alchemists of old all talked about. And today we have, Maxwell's equation, basically 3 of his equations, when he's had over 20 of them, and we need to use all 20 of them if we want to really be serious about what we're doing. And when you get into this wider spectrum and energetic dimensional domains and magnetism, gravity is a pile of crap, and they sold that to us. They sold the Big Bang to us. They sold a whole bunch of things to us. And as you systematically dismantle all of these things, you start to see there's an agenda, and it's embarrassing, really. When you look at the Earth, if you take superlight interferometry together and the amounts of new elements that are created in that process, light is 186,000 miles per second, whereas superlight is c squared. That's 34.6 billion miles per second and 10 to the 16th power. So you see that the Earth is actually growing from superlight interferometry rather than it was always this size. It's doubled in size in only 70 or 170 billion years, which in geological time is really a blink of the eye. And it's because new elements are being created with superlight and the cosmic natural processes. What Milewski's genius was to finally see the insights into nature's process and then bring current off-the-shelf technology to bear to replicate and mimic nature's processes. So that's how I learned in Albuquerque, New Mexico, in a 4-day wondrous trip, getting to know this genius of a man. He's up in his 90s now, but when you start doing science with him, you start moving science with him, he turns into a 30-year-old right in front of your eyes, and he shines like, a cosmic being with his intelligence. And it's just, you can't have more fun. To have more fun than that, you'd have to take some clothes off. You're muted, I believe. I've got an audio
Martin,
problem.
I was saying, you were talking about John Milewski, and I was saying Elizabeth happened to have met him before in person in the past, and this guy certainly is an alchemist. And, yeah, Eliza, you would like to talk a little bit about the process on the genius of Milewski and how Martin got to be making gold with him?
Yeah, essentially what happened was that what he is doing is he's taking the monoatomics, which are in the colored glass, and he's recondensing them back into their original elements, the clumpy stuff. So, I mean, we're surrounded by monoatomics. It's all over the place. And gold, I mean, the whole platinum series. And then the other thing is that using the phonon resonance theory, then the other thing you can do is convert, and it's easy to do this with nuclear isomers that are right next to one another in the periodic table. A little bit more difficult to do it with other elements that are farther away. But I mean, according to the theory, I mean, he's already outlined that, I mean, the stuff that Andre Rossi is doing and some other people, I mean, that is alchemy. But whenever you can...
John earlier used the monoatomic descriptor approach to the work, but I completed 244 metal making, lab trial, crucible, microwave experimental experiments on my own, and we've had a long running discussion. And I think his explanation of this alchemical process is gone beyond the monoatomics. I see monoatomics as elements that are partway into the space where you know, from their cosmic dimensional energy signal generation into physical materiality. I believe now that I would say, John, and John would agree, that it's interferometry of super light. And the metals are really created out of nothing. You said the beer bottles held these potentials in the monoatomics, and it may very well be that that is the case. But I see it from after my own experimental work for a few years, where it's nothing but encoded information. You take the yin and the yang, the Vedics, the Chinese ancient technologies, and then when we get into the megaliths and we can see what real people live like, real human beings, you know, the guys that can move a 1,200-ton block 30 kilometers, you know, up 2,000 feet vertical from 30 kilometers away. Now that's being a real person, you know, that's a real human being. Now we have lost all of that. Mm-hmm. But I think if we're going to survive as a species, you know, our peril lurks about us every day, whether from a World War III, a virus, or any number of potential calamities. It's going to call a lot more of us than we've been present to, you know, even this last century. You know, we've gone from the horse and buggy supposedly to the moon and back, and all of this wonderful technology, iPhones and computers and all of that, but that doesn't make us a sophisticated human being when you compare it to the sophistication of those that built megaliths, the precision, you know, and we still can't figure out what they did. As a diamond driller working my way through engineering, I encountered something in geology next to diamond hardness called chert. And, you know, in the so-called King's Chamber, they've got this huge box, you know, to 1 micron tolerances. And this is the hardest stuff you've ever tried to cut with a machine. I used 600 Caterpillar horsepower on a massive machine, 40 tons weight on the diamond, turning at, you know, thousands of RPM. And I did that for 3-4 days and only made like 10-12 inches through this material. It is impossible given our technologies today. And yet when you look at the feed rates, that's the marks on the edge of the stone, whatever tool they had, every revolution leaves a track. And they made feed rate progress that I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine. So when I talk about solutions, yes, we have to have free energy, sustainable energy. Yes, we need to clean up the nuclear waste, but we've also got to kick up the bandwidth here. This is a semi-intelligent conversation at about 2,000 bytes per second, when I've had personal experiences upwards of 2 to 4 billion bytes per second. And they left us the secrets, you know, right in our face. And the main one for me is the caduceus symbol, where you've got this staff with the wing and then the bulb on the top with the serpents entwined around it. And our medical, you know, ambulance drivers wear this on their lapel today, not having a clue where it came from in its history or its relevance. But I learned a technique accidentally after, in my youth, I had experimented with mind expanding elements like ayahuasca, magic mushrooms, Sandoz, LSD, and then eventually something called DMT. Now you have to appreciate what a DMT experience is. But after having a few DMT experiences with my friends and using a pipe, I learned to access the DMT molecule in our pineal gland, in my own pineal gland. And when I was patenting is very laborsome, heavy lifting work for me. The language, the convoluted language that you have to do, and the thinking that you have to go to. Patenting is, that uses up a lot of bandwidth. And so when I just would get up from my desk and go to the kitchen to get a cup of tea, I would nearly pass out from the dosage just in raising my body. And after I'd learned this technique with this meditation technique of chasing my spinal column fluid up into the underside of my brain against the pituitary and the pineal gland, where you would get these brain flood secretions, and you would eventually achieve what I call a blink out dosage threshold. And that's typically around 60 milligrams. Every time you practice this technique, the next time you do it, you will see much greater results. To where now, for me, I have access to these onboard golden brain gland resources on demand now as I need it. And breath work is really good for this, but I would not be an alchemist, a modern day metal alchemist today with gold beads on my desk had I not had the bandwidth boost effect of accessing my own pineal and pituitary gland. I hope I'm not going too far afield here in this conversation.
I think time's running out a bit. Martin, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I really have burning questions to steer you into the direction of where the relevance of FESIG is. I wanted to point out that okay, so you have been making gold with John Maliski, and is the gold is that why you were saying that your cryptocurrency is so sophisticated and so special because it's going to be backed by gold, right? The precious metal is gold. Am I correct?
No. My first white paper was for a 100,000 ton per day precious metal mining project at Axel Heiberg, which is northwest of Greenland, so way up in Canada's Arctic. Right. And I found a deposit here, probably the largest, richest mineralized structure on the planet. And because I had an alchemical background and perspective, I could see how to process these ores that modern metallurgy hasn't recognized yet. So I was asked to walk away from that white paper and that ICO crypto coin issuance at the behest of the Chinese government. And I worked 6 years on that project, and with a half a dozen people at times, sometimes even more. And I was very reluctant and initially resisted the idea that I would walk away from a project that threw $16 billion a day in precious metal bars. You just walk away. I said, what? And she says, yeah, we'll pay you a commission. I said, a commission? You're talking about cost of acquisition and compensation. So that's a conversation that we've got going on right now. And I'm to be rewarded with a cryptocurrency coin from that particular project. So that project, I did agree to walk away from it, and I have walked away from it, except waiting for my coins. And I look forward to that. But it was a fascinating project. And there we had primarily the platinum group metals, palladium, rhodium, iridium, gold, and silver. You know, your coffee table beside your desk, end table or whatever, is about the size of a ton of rock mining host ore. And this particular deposit went as high as $800,000 per ton. That's an incredible rich mine. And so I did walk away, and I'm now on to back to my service in solutions in energy and nuclear waste remediation.
Right. Martin, apparently, because you have evaluated more than 500 innovation projects, technologies, I suppose you are surrounded by very excellent and brilliant scientists around you. And I'm sure you have had a lot of experience watching and being witness to how stranded they are with their energy solution regarding how we are being well, controlled by the
Well,
controllers. And
if you would use,
is this why you felt in your heart that you wanted to play Santa Claus and you wanted to airdrop your cryptocurrency to those who are stranded along the way on the energy front?
well, the coin issuance will go primarily to the inventors in fostering and moving their inventions.
Mm-hmm.
But the airdrop goes beyond that to anybody that's had any equity in it. Anybody's had any service mileage here and committed to it, passionate about it, we want them in this space. And when you look at the bell curve, if you will put the bell curve graphic up on the screen,
sure, I will do it right now.
Sort of community.
Yeah, I'm sharing screen right now, and I'm going to pull it up.
Okay, increase that. Now, the bottom right-hand corner, if you look at, all of us live in this populated space of the bell curve. There's some 8 billion units of consciousness or people now on this planet. And if you look at the dullard end down at the lower left, it's the low bandwidth, low intelligence, less sophisticated. And in the middle, you'll see the greater part of humanity. But down in the lower right corner is where all of you people live. And you'll find engineers, scientists, mystics, artists, and people that have just been passionate about making the world a better place. They all live down in that narrow part of the domain. And yes, they're intelligent. And yes, they're high bandwidth. Yes, they're passionate. Those are all wonderful people to hang out to. And I would be very happy to bring them together in this forming community as airdrop targets.
Oh, wonderful, Martin, wonderful. So that's why we've been here in FESIG. Thank you so much for, well, gifting this through FESIG. I'm going to call up the FESIG website so you can see how we are structuring people to sign in. Yeah, if you go to FESIG's website, this is where the website is. Okay, hang on a minute. I'm just trying to get to the button. So if you scroll up, you see FESIG, the Free Energy Special Interest Group. Hang on a minute. Let me just pull it down. Yeah, so it's easy for me to scroll. Okay, and then you scroll down and you will see the announcement of today's meeting. And if you hover your mouse over Martin, it will take you to his Facebook. And then if you hover over Blue Eagle Incorporated, it will take you to his Blue Eagle company site, and you can read all about Martin. And the next speaker, of course, is Ileana, and same thing for her as well. She's here already. Hi, Ileana. And Martin then was talking about airdropping cryptocurrency. So this is how you can re-register. All of you who are here in the Zoom room, you probably have been in our database already. You had already signed up, joining us to join FESIG 2 years ago, since 2 years ago when we first started. Well, I urge you to re-register by clicking on the Finder, because here we have announced that the Finder's membership. What do I mean by Finder? Don't just be an ordinary member, be an extraordinary one. If you feel it in your heart, you have a purpose for your existence here, and is a solution thinker or doer or a giver, join us in the foundation. Become a finder. The finders are exceptional and extraordinary individuals to form this special breakaway community called the foundation. So apply within. And I urge all of you here and those who are watching this video to click on the Finder, and it will take you to a form that you can fill in the Finder, and you can learn more about the foundation, because we'll be coming up with more of the description of how we are going to structure and form this breakaway community, so the scientists can work in peace, and people can have a well, you know, a breakaway lifestyle. And here you are to fill in the form, and do give us your CV bio, and because we need to look at, we have a selection committee to look at what Martin wants us to be in line with, so that we can then be on target with his airdropping. So this is just.
We plan to airdrop FESIG as a group, as an organization, and then the individual members to receive a $500 coin issuance. But they'll have to pre-register for that, and the qualifications are very simple. But we don't want anybody that's not in service to the concept or the essence or the sentiment of solutions and energy invention. The inventors have all been working on their little islands all around the world, and each one of those islands are easy to defend against and defeat. But when you bring all those inventors to a central island that we will, you know, call for purposes of the discussion, energy innovation, the main island, together, that will be impossible for the oligarchical vested interests to continue to suppress this technology. The money will be there to do the engineering, finish the prototypes, or evolve the prototypes, refine the prototypes, all of that. And I look forward to it. After you said 500 technologies over a 20-year period, it's been at least that. And we used to do a lot of that. I haven't been doing that much of it lately, but I've long ago, you know, got to a place where these solutions have languished for no other reason. The tidal bridge design that we have today, I was going to show you some video there of that, but we're running out of time, so maybe another time. Or
another time we'll have you back to speak again, Martin. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe when we get closer to the launch, and when we're ready to share the white paper and stuff like that, I'd be happy to come back.
Sure.
But the solutions are there. They have been there all along, and it's our collective coherence in consciousness that will now be unstoppable with the coin resources supporting it.
I think I'll hand over to the co-chair now, Eliza. I'm sure you have a few questions lined up for Martin before we move on to the next session of this meeting.
I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Elizabeth?
Turn your mic on, Elizabeth.
I'd like to open it up to anyone that might have questions.
I've got some questions.
Okay.
Martin, what would you have done in your oil business to improve yield? And why would they be opposed to the new innovative ideas when you could just test them and then they could decide if they could fire?
I'm sorry, we've got a bit of a garbled mic. Could you speak a little louder?
You can't. Is this not good at all?
Well, it's coming, but it's garbled and it's noisy, and I'm having trouble. Go again.
Okay. Martin, what would you have done to your oil business to improve yield? And why would they be opposed to new innovative ideas? They could just test your ideas and then decide to fire.
Are you talking about the suppressed oligarchical interests this past century?
The oil company that you co-founded.
I don't have any oil background per se. I've worked on, you know, big oil projects and stuff, but somewhere I think you got some misinformation in the bio. But oil companies are not focused on solutions. They're focused on their game. They're at the top of their game, and they want to perpetuate that game as long as they can.
Thank you.
Okay. I don't know if I've really done you right there with that, but let's go on. Next.
Yeah. Did you know Jacques Tombasian?
I don't recall the name.
Yeah, I've been studying from a master alchemist called Jacques Tombazian.
Hmm.
And there are not many alchemists in the world, so yes, most
Well,
of them know
like visionaries, we can spell the word sometimes, but knowing what's actually going on and doing the work and getting results is a completely different matter. I hope to hear that he's been successful. Do you know, can you describe what methodology he's using?
Well, he's about the royal path of alchemy. It's about inner transformation. But unfortunately, he passed away in 2015.
Well, alchemists also have to learn about longevity technologies, and they got to stick around a lot longer than they have been, okay? Yes, alchemists are rare, but same in the vision side. They're out there, and they're working, and they need our support. And I hope his protege or his family signs up for our airdrop target list.
And it's good to meet a fellow alchemist, and you understand all of the aspect of the work that needs to be done on the energetic planes.
Well, in the end, it's about, do you get any metal in the bead or do you not? Okay. Yes, the spiritual aspect. Yes, the dimensional aspect. Yes, the brain boosting bandwidth of the pineal and pituitary gland. All of those things made up my success in those 240 lab trial experiments where I made precious metal beads. And we can scale this technology up. But I didn't do that for them. I did it for all kinds of reasons. My own self-development, probably my main reason. And to me, this bead that's sitting on my desk, that's my diploma. Nobody's going to take that bead away from me. You know, I've been there, and I did it. And when you do that, you will have to encounter in your own journey, your own side of that journey, incomprehensible aspects where you have no validation, no orientation, no priors, nothing to guide you, but you can intuitively go to the right place. You know,
Eliza, your mic is causing an echo.
Come again?
Eliza, your mic is causing an echo.
Oh, it's Eliza.
Okay, let me turn it on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know for my own work, the past few years, there's been very intensive astral war going on that makes all of the ancient Hindu stories makes all of these ancient stories between gods and demons look really small in comparison to what's happening these years. I've been focusing on chasing away the Dracos and stabilizing the planetary field. So the airdrop is not, from what I understand, is not only for people working on technologies, but also the people who are working on the
If you've got high intelligence, a high service commitment, and a passion about your work in solutions and making the world a better place, you qualify on our airdrop. Okay?
Yeah. Thank you, Martin.
The alchemical work that we have to go through personally to be effective in this space is a major commitment on an individual basis. You're not going to be watching TV 10 hours a day and become it's not going to happen.
So, right.
But in the end, I taught my 13-year-old in 2 days how to make a gold bead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do have a question about that if there's still time. I've been trying to transmute lead into gold, and so far it's like the energetic property of the lead seems to have turned into gold, but physically it didn't change yet. So there's still something.
So you're back at the classic approach, okay? They said you needed the white stone or the red stone for that, and you have to cook your urine for 1.5 years or something like that to form that. And I believe it holds out as much promise as any of the alchemical methods. But ours is strictly a technology frequency. Okay, all of materiality is an illusion. The Eastern mystics were right all along. Science has now proven that. When we get down,
I work purely with consciousness.
Okay, well, consciousness is coupled, and we're all coupled into that domain, and it starts with oh, I'm having an Alzheimer moment here. With in making the gold, something. Maybe I'm not supposed to say this. I don't know. Maybe I'm sharing something I shouldn't here, but my mind just shut down. I was really clear and passionate to say this, and now it's just wiped.
Maybe
Somebody wipe that thought. Try again.
Perhaps we could discuss that in private.
In another meeting, or secretly, or privately. Okay.
Yeah, or give him my Skype. Give him my Skype address.
Yeah, because it's not quite relevant in this meeting, Etienne. Yeah. Right. So
it will be a much longer conversation.
Because our next speaker has been waiting for a while. We have a second speaking session. Iliana is already here with us for a while, and so I would like to go around the table because Eliza has been muted because I think she might have some problems with the background. I am unmuting her. Hello, Eliza. Can you speak up, Eliza?
Hi.
Yeah. Hi. Would you like to?
Yeah.
Do you have questions that you need to ask Martin before we go around the table and have this first session finalized?
No, not really. I'm fine.
You're fine? Right.
Yeah.
And I think I would like to invite okay, let's have one more question for Martin before we move on. Instead of going around the table, because there are so many here in attendance. I think we have almost 20 of us here. So instead of going around the table, which is our normal practice, I'll just ask if any of you have an impertinent question, a relevant one last question. Speak up.
I do, but I've already taken up a question. Is it okay I ask another? All right. Did Nicholas Flamel and the Brotherhood of the Star really learn how to obtain immortality, and are they still alive today?
I don't know that particular instance, but I do know about my own experience in consciousness and DNA. I do know that when I talked about the Sumerians and the megalith stone builders and stuff like that, it was typical of them to live 3 to 5, 15 million years or forever. And I believe we do have that data set encoded here, and it was probably deliberately deactivated, and it can be reactivated. I don't plan on dying in the next 20, 50 years. Thank you.
That's really good to hear.
I'll be around a while. I got work.
We need you, Martin.
I've lost some good friends in this space over the years, and I really think it's a waste. And there's just the telomere hairs, with astragalus. Those people are buying back 9 years for every year they're on these supplements. Northwest Korea, northeastern China. This stuff grows wild all over North America. We can use that astragalus root to, rejuvenate our telomere hairs. When you have a broken telomere hair going for the DNA encoding and it's broken, you don't get that data in your cell replication. That's called getting old and decrepit disease. It's just missing information. If you get the full information, you will have complete cellular rejuvenation or replication. And so there is no illness that cannot be cured in a single hour.
Yeah. Do you need the full TA65, or is astragalus 4 good enough?
I would say the TA65 is the main focus. They've done great work on that TA65. It's a difficult seed to germinate. I've had a couple fails. I've got 500 of them here in my desk, and I've got 3.5 feet of snow, so I'll have to wait till spring. But I'm going to go again this year and grow astragalus and do my own experiments with that.
Yeah.
But we've got the ability, if you've got some, what I call the functioning relationship with reality, you know, you've got to be able to expand your bandwidth and your consciousness domain back to source energy at some point, or that's a progressive, you know, process. But when you get back to your source energy, you will have the wherewithal, by virtue of your cosmic sovereignty, choices, not your decisions, choices. Choices have cosmic dynamics associated with it. You can choose whatever age you want. And there are said to be, if you look at William Tompkins' disclosure of the secret space program and stuff like that, they've already got technologies where they can extend your life for 200-300 years.
Right. Okay. So,
Crystal?
Thank you.
Yes.
Crystal?
Yes, Press.
Basically, I'm going to make a comment and then have you wrap it up so we can start another tape.
Right.
The comment I was going to make, you brought up a point that the world has actually doubled in size. The globe has doubled in size. With that, we've seen an increase in the gravitational force as we know it today. And with that same expansion, we have a imperative as a human species to either be crushed by this weight or learn how to rise above it. And I thank you so much for being here today. I'm going to turn the closing statements to Crystal. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you,
Well,
Press.
I appreciate your comments, and my apologies for crowding the time of your next guest. We had a bit of a late start here, and I really want to thank you for putting this little meeting together. Thank you.
Oh, you're fine, Martin, because I did message Alina that we had a late start and that we needed to hear from you about this abundance stuff anyway, because that is what we need to move forward with our divine mission here on this planet, and you are providing a solution here, and we thank you so much.
We're all providing the solution, but in providing that solution, it's us coming together in the same consciousness domain, solution minded, solution bent. Okay. That's the unique difference of this milestone here today and this year, given the failures that we've had in the last 120 years. This cannot be stopped now. You've got the biggest and the brightest, the most passionate, the most intelligent, the most driven people here, and this coin is gonna soar.
Hear, hear. I love that. Don't we? I feel like unmuting you all and say, hooray, all of us. Okay, I've unmuted all of you now. Shall we then just thank Martin?
Moi, je dirais pas la semaine.
Hooray.
Thank you, hooray. Martin,
Hooray.
thank you so much. Namaste, brother.
Well done.
Right.
You take care. Thank you again. Bye-bye.
Thank you. We want you back
Ouais.
at some point.
Thank you, Martin.
Thank you, Martin.
All right.
Je dirais oui pour l'instant.
There being no other business, I would like to call a close to this meeting, and this meeting would then
Je dirais 10h30.
would be please join us again on the 7th of February for the next meeting, guys. If you have to scoot on, please stay back for Iliana, the Star Travelers presentation in a moment. All right. So there being no other business, this first session is now adjourned to the next meeting.
Non, j'ai fait le cours, mais j'ai pas la certification.
Yes, Evans, are you saying a prayer?
Non, mais j'ai suivi.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, all of you. Yeah,
Et
so
j'utilise
I'm going to stop the recording right now. Namaste.